Hi, Team Flyer, and welcome here to the Always Earlier podcast. Here we are, another beautiful Wednesday. Um, Today I have the beautiful Jaclyn. I was like, let me make sure I say her name correctly as always, because I have a difficult name, and people just stumble over it all the time. So I make sure that I know everyone's name because I know how important that is.
Yes.
And she's right here with us. We met online and we just clicked right away, and I just loved her designs and love everything and like all the vibe what she's all about. So without literally further ado, so she could introduce herself, Jaclyn. Hi.
Hello. I'm so excited to be here.
I'm super excited to have you. Super excited because we've been talking for a while. I really love just what you do and the message behind what you do. So I was like, I need to talk to her. And like, you're so cute and friendly, and it's so easy to talk to you. And I'm like, okay, this is my girl. This is a Team Fly member right here.
Thank you. Yeah, you reached out and immediately you were like all on board, like pumping me up, like the best like pump up girl ever. And I was like, who is this girl? I love her. Like, she is the best. So it is appreciated right back.
It's like I just want to make sure, much like the name, for example, was like, you are a person, you're a heartbeat. Like, I want to make sure you know how wonderful, like, what you're doing, your message behind what you do. And I love being able to cheer anyone I can find as much as I can. And I'm also like, I've been told I've been really rad about it. It's like you hear a lot from me all of a sudden, and then like 2 months without, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh my gosh, she's back. And I pump you up again because I see something, I'm like, oh my God, yes, go Jaclyn, go Jaclyn.
I love that. I love it.
It's like, that's what we're all about, supporting community and just powerful message, much like yours. But before we head into that, my darling, tell us a little bit about you. Where are you from? What are you up to?
Yeah. So like you said, my name is Jaclyn. I'm originally from Texas. I grew up in the Dallas area in Arlington and went to high school there, lived in the same house my entire life. When I graduated high school, I wanted to get the heck out. I was like, where can I go that is away from these people? And I love my family. They're awesome. But I was like, gotta go on an adventure. So my mom said, all right, you can go 4 hours away for school. Go 4 hours. Don't go any more than 4 hours because I just don't think I could stand it. She and I are really close. And so I went to a school that was almost exactly 4 hours north in Oklahoma, University of Oklahoma, Boomer Sooner. So I went to OU and didn't know what I wanted to do. I knew graduating high school that I had no idea what I wanted to do. And my choir teacher at the time said, well, you should audition and be a music major. And I said, okay, sure. So audition, got into the School of Music, went through all of that to be a vocal music teacher. And that was like such an incredible time. But I knew deep down inside, I was like, this is not the thing. Like, I'm good at this and I kind of like it a lot, but I don't think I want to be a school teacher. But I didn't know what else I wanted to do. And so I just kept trucking along, and I'm like a very achiever type personality. So anything I do, I'm going to go really hard towards. I'm going to run towards it.
I am right there with you. I put my 110% in.
Yes, absolutely. And I would talk to people and I would be like, I just don't know if this is what I want to do. And they would either say like one of two things, like, one, you're really good at it, you should just keep doing it. Or two, well, just keep doing it until you figure out what you want to do next. And I was like, okay, like neither of those answers really like solved the problem for me. But yeah, so graduated from OU, met a boy while I was there and ended up marrying him. He's the best thing ever.
Shout out to amazing and beautiful husbands, because
yes,
I have one of my own, and oh my gosh,
it makes all the difference.
It really does, just having that best friend with you. So definitely a huge shout out to them as always.
Yes, huge shout out. So we got married. We worked a couple years in Oklahoma and decided again, like, let's go on an adventure. So last July, we ended up moving all the way across the country to Oregon. So now we're in the beautiful state of Oregon, like looking at all of the waterfalls and the nature and the trees and the animals. It's like I call it Narnia. It's literally like living in Narnia.
Okay, you just sold it even more for me. We were talking before recording, and a lot of people know or don't know. I mean, I traveled all my life and I love it. And much like you, Jaclyn, like I love adventures, and thankfully I fell in love with someone who loves adventures as much as I do. So we
Yes.
were living in Spain for a while, and we were deciding to come back to the States or actually move to Japan, move to South Korea because he lived there before and whatnot. And we decided, okay, let's go back to the States for a little while. But even within the States, we're like, we're currently in Massachusetts. That's where he's from and his family and whatnot. It's still, we need more of a mentor. And like I was telling Jaclyn before, we were thinking of, Washington, Oregon, a little bit of California, just definitely the West Coast, because it looks like Narnia and a million other reasons why, just like adventures and just seeking new places, nothing wrong with Texas or with Oklahoma or Massachusetts by any means, but that like essence of finding your own place. So yes,
and the
I love
next
that.
thing, I love it. Can confirm it is exactly like Narnia. It's beautiful.
I'm gonna tell my husband right away. He's like, when are we moving? When are we moving?
Seriously. Come hang out with me.
Exactly. Oh, we're gonna be on that couch, girl. I'm gonna be right there playing with your dog. I'm like, hi, you have a new best friend right here.
Murphy loves people, so
there you go. Another thing that resonated with what you were saying with my story, and that's how another thing that we connect was, I also was a teacher for many, many years in Spain. I was an English teacher in this particular case. Well, language teacher, because I also taught Spanish. To foreigners in Spain, obviously. And it was something much like you were saying. It made me happy to some extent. And I made a living out of it. But it wasn't something that really kind of made me 110% happy. Was I good at it? Yes, because your personality and mine were like, we're going to give 100%, like whatever's in front of us, But I also had like the same sort of dilemma some point in my life. It's like you either continue being a teacher forever because it's a stable job, or you just continue doing it till you find something else. And that's also very tricky and very, you still get comfortable pretty fast. Because you're like, oh, it's fine. I'll do it on the weekends. I'll do a hobby. I'll do this, and it's fine. And then you kind of, 1 + 1 = 2. We know where that ends up with kids, and all of a sudden 10 years after, and you're like, oh, wait. I love to change around the road.
I didn't know that you were a teacher too. I love that we connect there.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's the thing. I don't really say it that often. I do say it to some extent, depends on what it is, because I also have a coaching program, and that's another, like, I've taught differently through that as well.
It's a different form of the same thing.
Exactly. So I do mention it, but as like a day-to-day thing, it's like, and I'm a volunteer right now actually at the local school, so I teach them Spanish. So I'm still teaching to some extent and whatnot.
Right.
But because my main focus is, the Always Believer in my company and this platform, that's which I understand is like where we're leading up to of what you're doing now, of course.
For sure.
So you ended up in teaching, and you were kind of feeling stuck, like you were saying, or kind of like figuring out, and then you decided to go follow your gut feeling. So before you tell us exactly what you do, tell us how do you describe that gut feeling? Like,
so I've always had this feeling. I've always been like, now that I'm older and have taken like a million personality tests and like read books and things, I can label it with different words. But since I was really little, I've always been incredibly intuitive. I'm a really big empath, so I feel people's feelings, like for better or for worse. They get on me, which I think is another reason that teaching like hit me so hard, because I loved these kids so much. I taught high schoolers, and those high schoolers are going through some stuff, let me tell you.
Oh my gosh, I don't
know.
I
taught
congratulations
for
teaching teenagers. I swear, I taught mainly kids and adults, but teenagers, they go through stuff. I mean, we all did at that age.
And I had these like beautiful creative souls. They're in my choir class. I taught choir. So they just like, all of this, just like, they don't, when you're a teenager, you don't really know what you're doing or where you're going in life. And I just felt so deeply for all of them, and it got on me. But so I've always been that way. And I remember graduating high school, telling everyone. I told my best friend, I told my mom, I said, I don't know what I want to do, because, everybody asks you. I don't know what I want to do but I think it's going to be really awesome. And I think it's going to be hilarious. I don't think it's going to make any sense. Which of course, like, your parents are sending you off to school and they're like, great, you go, girl. Like, that's great. Best of luck. Here's like $1 million to go to school.
But so, that's the thing. Like, I know that you have a loving and supportive family, because you also told me that that you know, when you were telling me your story, you told me about that, which was wonderful.
Yeah.
And that's when you probably got your I can do everything kind of attitude.
Yes, I am so lucky. I love my parents, and they are truly up for anything. I remember as a kid, my parents would say, you know what, Jaclyn, if you want to be a CEO of a company, if you want to be the president of the United States, if you want to be a garbage man, if you want to be an accountant, like, you go, girl. Like, you can do any of those things. And my mom always told me, she just instilled in me, like, there are people who have all of the money in the world that aren't happy, and there are people who have no money who are happy, and vice versa.
Preach. Yeah. Thank you, Mom. Shout out to Mom and to Dad as well. Shout
she's
out.
The best. Absolutely. So yeah, they always encouraged me to, like, follow what I wanted to do, which was awesome and I loved, but it made it tricky in this, like, transition time between high school and college of, like, okay, now you need to pick what you're going to do and you need to invest money in that. And I didn't know what it was. And I knew there was something big for me. I knew that I was capable of anything. I knew that I could have this huge impact on the world, but I couldn't put a label on it. I couldn't say I want to be a teacher, I want to be a doctor, I want to be this or that.
And I understand you so well, because much like you were saying, I'm also very intuitive. If you know me, you know I followed that gut feeling. I'm very spiritual as well. I'm very aligned with, and then also, like, I understand with energy, because I latch onto energy for good or for bad because of that. Like, I understand you completely. Like, a lot of times when I was growing up, they're like, oh, why aren't you a therapist or whatnot? To some extent, or like psychologist and whatnot. I'm like, that's great. It's just that's a lot of energy consuming, and I want to make a change and a difference, focus a different way. And I also, much like you, didn't know the way. Like, at all. Like, I discovered it after my mid-20s, and I'm still, you know, adding more and more things to the list that actually make my heart glow because of that. So I totally understand where you're coming from with that.
And that's so real. You said make your heart glow. That really is, like, a visual way to explain what the feeling is. And I think that everyone has this feeling inside of them. It's your intuition, it's your gut feeling, it's like your soul telling you what it's wanting to do. And that's what it is. Like, it is a warm, calm, very calm, quiet feeling. And I think it's different for everyone and it comes across differently, but everyone has it deep down inside. And, like, you and I are lucky that it's a little bit louder. It's a little bit easier for us to hear that, even though that comes with the other side of, like, being a very sensitive person, being, like, having lots of feelings and feeling deeply, seeing the beauty in the world, like, those really big feelings.
Those are huge.
So that's kind of the other side that isn't so easy all the time.
My friends who know me quite well, they know I'm very passionate. And, like, when I tell them I love him, I love him. Like, it's one of, like, I feel like that's when when I start talking to people like you who I just met, basically, and you hear, like, this huge personality of, like, energy, balls of energy going your way. It's kind of like that. Because we feel the feelings. I'm like, I want to cheer you on, like, as much as I can and tell you how cool you are. So, yeah.
And so that's kind of, like, what my passion is for people is, like, okay, how can I help others who were like me, like, hear that feeling, hear that intuition, and then take action on it? Because I've always been good at taking action and doing the thing, even if I don't know where those steps are going. I'm like, I'll just throw myself into it. Yeah. We'll figure it out later. Embarrassment, like, I have none of that. There's no shame. I don't really care. But I know that I have this purpose in life and I know that I need to find it. So that's been the last 5 or 6 years for sure.
Yeah, we definitely aligned quite well, you and me. When I saw you, I was like, that girl has spark. I know where that spark is coming from. Because that's much of what you were saying, things that aligned also with the program that we're still currently giving through the our membership and whatnot. And it's about that finding that what makes your heart glow and finding that belief of knowing what you want to do, what makes you happy, and all these sorts of things. Basically, what we're
Yeah.
talking about, that's what the course, exactly what I'm giving right now, actually, is all about. And I find that so
I love that.
beautiful because there's a lot of people, like you said, there's people who still don't know. And we're lucky enough that, you know, our voices, inner voices, speak louder than anything else,
Yeah.
the good and the bad. And another thing I also want to let our audience know, I mean, if they know anything about me, they know that I've had a really hard upbringing. I kind of had totally the opposite of you.
Yeah.
What I love about our messages, which is basically the same, that doesn't matter where you come from, you can come from that perfect, quote unquote, perfect life,
Mm-hmm.
best mom ever, best dad ever, go do it. Or you can come with the opposite, which is mine,
Yeah.
and still kind of, you know, end up in the same place of like, oh, what am I doing with my life? Like, what is
Yeah.
happening here? So congratulations, definitely. So let's
Yeah. Thank you.
finally tell a little bit of what you're doing, because you decided to start some homemade good old living decor, yeah,
Yeah.
for your wedding. So
Yes.
tell us a little bit about that, and then what did it lead to?
Yeah, for sure. So I've always been a creative soul. I grew up singing, doing all of the art classes, sewing. So crafty things come very naturally to me. And that entrepreneurial spirit of like, someone will buy this from me. Like, where can I sell it? Sure. Like buy 10 of them. Those two things have always been a part of me. So when I was getting married, I saw all of these beautiful hand lettered signs, like calligraphy, hand lettering type signs. And I was like, I want all of those at my wedding. And I know that we're on a pretty tight budget here. So I'm going to learn how to do it. And I'm going to do it all myself. And my husband, funnily enough, he is also super creative and also learned to hand letter and also helped with the decor. He's
Oh,
awesome. Very creative soul. Um, but yeah, so I started hand lettering. It started out with like, just like on paper and doodling on my notes at school or whatever. And then eventually people were like, that's beautiful. Can you write on this mug for me? Or can you write on this, I don't know, random anything? Like it got to the point where I was hand lettering on everything in the house. I told my roommate at the time, I was like, if you leave something out, I might hand letter on it. So like put your stuff away because it might get lettered. She was like, I don't care, letter on whatever you want. So yeah, I started making these signs, big signs, little signs, and I would just paint them and then write with a paint pen on them. And people started seeing them and they're like, hey, that's really beautiful. Can you make one for me? Like, I'm also getting married. And I was like, sure, why not? Like, how about $10 or $20? And they're like, sure. So it was a very clumsy start. Got married. It was awesome. I like sold all of the signs that I used at my own wedding to other people. And I just remember one day being like, you know, I see other girls with hand lettering Instagrams. What if I just started an Instagram page? And so I just started one with no expectation of anything. But deep down inside, I was like, this could like be successful. Like this could be something kind of fun. I don't know. It's probably not going to be a major flop. And when you start an Instagram page, there's 0 followers. Like you're looking at your numbers and you're like, one post, 0 followers, following like 200 people, you know, like, okay, we have to start from ground zero and that's okay. So yeah, I just started there and it's still all on my Instagram. I would never want to delete those things or archive them because I want anyone who like hears me speak or anyone who I interact with to be able to kind of scroll back through and see the journey, see where I started, see where it was super ugly, like very, very ugly, and see how I've like grown so that they can see that they can do the same thing.
They can do the exact same thing. And I love that. I feel like there's so many times that we compare ourselves to somebody else's day 5,000.
Yes.
Where you're still on day 1 and you're like, no, hun, you're still on day 150. That person's on
like,
day 6,000.
It's okay. Be where you're at, grow where you're growing. Like that's totally okay. Yeah. And so I started doing that and that was awesome and learned how to take beautiful pictures, learned how to sell things, how to price things, just more of that entrepreneurial part. And that was the first moment that I like what you said, that my soul glowed. How do you say it? That my soul was
glowed.
That my heart glowed. Yeah. That was that first moment where I was like, oh my God, this is the thing. I was like, this is the
Found
feeling
it. This is
that
it.
I've been wanting. And there are other people out there that are like me. People who don't want to just be this or this or that, but want to do something that's a little bit different, a little bit outside of the box. And that is the best feeling, when you're just, the feeling of just knowing that you're not the only one is the most important feeling that everyone needs to have.
It really, really is. That's one of the main reasons. It's literally the top 2 reasons of why I created this platform, because growing up I felt very much alone, and I'm like, that sucks. Like there's enough humans in this world to make sure that we don't feel alone. And that's what with stories like yours and like all of yours, they do align with that kind of message, but you know, it takes a different spin, because not everyone's going to be a creator like you, and not everyone's going to be a mom, because I've also interviewed moms, and you know, whatever their storyline is. But the essence is that you don't feel alone, that you really feel like you are united in something. And the moment that you realize that, you just gain so much power and so much strength with it.
Yeah, for sure. And it was that feeling that kind of motivated me to keep going. And the more that I did it, the more, obviously I was getting more orders in, like different people wanted different things. I learned how to use a saw and like a nail gun. I got a nail gun for Christmas one year.
Exactly, because you told me this one-on-one, of course, it goes beyond lettering. Like you actually did arts and crafts, like hands-on activities.
Yeah. I started making these physical signs for people instead of just buying them from Hobby Lobby. Once again, I go all in. I went all in. And I loved, like, my favorite signs to do were the signs for people who, like one girl, her sister passed away the year before, and she was having 2 signs made that were identical. One was for her and one was for her mom, just as like a memorial to her sister. And like, that just touched my heart so deeply. It was things like that. And I got little orders like that here and there that were just like so impactful. And I think that's what started, it like sparked my heart to want to move in a different direction, because I would have this little touch point with someone that was like, wow, like your sister passed away. You are wanting to connect through this art, and like your mom is too. But it was just like, accept the order, fulfill the order, send it out and be done. And I just wanted so much more like impact than that.
Yeah, because more like what we're all here about, you're more than just the object. Because like I always tell people, like I'm more than just the life coach that you see or the wellness coach that you see. I want to make sure that, you know, that life is touched and there's some sort of impact being caused than just another random number, basically. And I love that about you, because here you are like making those signs and finally earning that money and cashing in and whatnot, which is once again a wonderful, because you followed that passion, that gut feeling we were talking about, but you felt that your message was lost. So what is your, like, let's, for our audience now to know, like, what is your message and how are you achieving that now? Like, what have you how have you progressed?
So it's been very non-linear. It started off so fuzzy and so quiet, and I didn't know what it was. And that was, it almost killed me. It was so frustrating, because I knew I had come so far, but I knew I wasn't quite in that spot of like genius, of like, this is what I want to do. And so for the past year, probably the past year and a half, was the time that I was really like, okay, we're going to shift. We're going to do something to make this more of what I want it to be, because what I'm doing now is not sustainable. It doesn't light my heart up enough to where I want to keep doing it forever. And I know that thing is around the corner. And so, I had to allow myself to slow down. It's like what you hear, like slow down to speed up. I had to allow myself time to make less money, to be confused, to not know where I'm going, and to just try stuff, ask a million questions so that I could make those tiny pivots. And I knew that would come with like, I would lose followers who didn't align anymore, and that was okay. So like being excited whenever people left, because I knew that they were finding something else, and I knew that the next group of people would come and find me that needed to find what I was doing. And then also like becoming so much closer with that group of girls who like was with me at the start, and they are still there like, yes, girl, like you've got this. Like I could sell cucumbers and they would be like, yes, cucumbers, that's awesome. So shout out to those girls, because that's just so, everyone needs that group. But yeah, so I've really narrowed it down into kind of a culmination of what my story is, but like I would label myself as a really creative soul. So I like to say that I help creative women find and pursue their passions. So listening to that intuition, listening to that inside voice, because I genuinely believe that every single woman is capable of literally anything. And I think that by allowing yourself the space to pursue those things, you are allowing yourself the space to pursue even bigger things. So like if you have the desire, if you have the passion to learn how to hand letter, that's for you. You need to pursue that. That is not just important for your happiness, which is important, let me tell you, but it's important for the world. It's important for someone else as well. And if we can honor ourselves and like love ourselves enough to pursue those little tiny passions. I wish I learned to play piano, but it's too late. I wish I learned to hand letter, but I'm not good at it. I wish I could learn how to speak another language, but I'm too old. It's like, no, sister, like those things are for you. And it's important that you pursue those things, because the way you pursue those little things is how you ultimately pursue the big giant dreams that are also important. So I've I have kept the hand lettering piece of my business consistent throughout. And now it's in a space a lot more of like, it's art that I do with like, I love words and how words can bring us together. And so a lot of it is just inspiring art. But then another piece of it is when women come to me and they say, I love hand lettering, I wish I could do that. I say, that's great. So sign up for one of my workshops, because it's important that you learn that. If that's something you want to do, it's important. I need you to learn to do it. Because every time that you sit on your dream, every time that you sit on something that's like, I wish I could do that, and you tell yourself, no, you can't, you're not capable, that it's gonna, like, there's no way that you can do those big giant things. And so, yeah, I'm kind of keeping that piece around. I do in-person workshops. I'm working on some online workshops that'll be so fun. But yeah, like just the words themselves are so important and so valuable, but then allowing yourself the space to learn something and to grow, that is what will get you to pursuing those big giant dreams that we need. We need women to pursue those dreams. Like that is so important. So that's a long-winded answer of what I do now. I'm a little bit passionate about it.
Just a tad.
Just a little.
It only sounds familiar to me. I wonder why.
Yeah, it's weird.
I adore everything about our journey within the Always Believer, within everything I do, because I find people like you. Mm-hmm. I find beautiful souls that are so refreshing, that you talked about followers and losing followers, and that's okay, because they found their own happiness somewhere else, and the people who are with you, they found their happiness with you.
Yeah,
it's refreshing. That is powerful. That is much needed to be like echoed everywhere.
Yeah.
And everything you said with what you're doing with those workshops, like I said, it lines up with the Always Believer Academy. It lines up with our course that Start Within, because that's literally, that's why I named it that way. It starts within. Find your happiness. And much like you said, we are capable of doing everything we set our minds to.
Yeah, I love that.
I adore what you're about. And that's why another reason why, much like we kept saying from before, I followed that gut feeling. The people who I have in my platform in particular, it's like, yeah, it's not only mine, but like at the end of the day, because I always say it's our community and it's like we all build it up together. However, the people that, you know, I ended up choosing and whatnot are people much like you, because it's all aligned with that feeling and that vibe.
Yeah.
So important. So I followed my gut feeling with you, and I'm like, girl, hi, just hi.
Yeah.
You are beautiful inside and out. Like, can we talk?
Goodness.
How do we get
yes.
Like, how? Just tell me.
But you're
I'm
so
also
good.
one of those.
you're such a connector. You're like, okay, this girl, that girl, this one over here, like these are my people and I'm going to connect them. And like that's important. That's huge.
That is, and I love it. I felt like much like what you were saying before. I took like my everyday things because like even between friends, I moved a whole bunch, and I'm a people
Yeah.
person. And I lived in big cities, and even if it's small city, but I knew a lot of people because that's just who I am, and I would
Yeah.
introduce them and whatnot. And now I've taken it to like a different realm, which is like the online world. So I do
Mm-hmm.
connect a lot of you together, and not
Yeah.
your podcast guest. It could be someone who I just like is a friend or I talk to or for something else, and that's I love it because I'm able to bring and showcase and put the spotlight on you particularly
Yeah.
who is making that change possible. So
Yeah.
thank you so much.
Thank you for existing and bringing me on here, and
Insisting, I'm
it's
like, no,
so
you're
needed.
mine. It's like
Yeah, I know.
you're part of Team
Sold.
Flower now.
Move to Oregon. It's over.
Exactly. There you
We're
go.
done.
That's it. That's I swear we're gonna look back. It's like that actually will happen. You'll see.
Yeah.
Knowing us, my goodness gracious.
Yeah, I know.
So, talking about literally community because that's what we're talking about. Building that
Yeah.
community up. What does the word community mean to you?
Yeah. So I think it's pretty simple for me. I think that the word community is simply a group of people who are ready to watch what you're doing and lift you up. I don't think that these people need to all have the same views. I think that it's best if they don't have the same viewpoints on everything, that everyone's worldview is different, but it's a lot like the way family is supposed to function, where you have all of these people, they're all living different lives, but they're watching each other and they're giving space for those people to be lifted up. And it's like everyone needs to be lifted up in different ways for different reasons at different times. Sometimes you need to be lifted up because you're feeling down, because you're doubting yourself, and that's one form. But sometimes you need to be lifted up because you're freaking killing it. And like other people need to see that you're killing it. And that's what that community is like giving yourself the space to lift others up and to be lifted up. And it takes a certain amount of vulnerability, I think, on both parts.
On both parts, exactly. I love
For
that. I
both of
love
those.
that. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's what I think. I believe is community is just where you can go to be lifted up when you need it most and to lift others up. It's a give and a take.
I love that answer because it's a balance of, at the end of the day. And exactly what you said, the thoughts don't have to align. It's just lifting each other up and making sure that, and what you said as well of when you're doing an amazing job, not only when you're down, but also it's like, oh my God, like, it goes anything from quote unquote simple as getting an A+ on an exam when you're in high school, for example, to literally having a new workshop, even if it's not sold out yet or whatever. You're like, oh my God, or like all of a sudden you hit, 5K and you're like, oh my God, I didn't even realize, but you realize, oh, thank you very much. And not because it's a matter of numbers by any means, because that's the least of our worries, but it's a matter of like, what you said, working towards what you want to do.
Yeah, pushing forward, seeing growth.
Yes, definitely. What is your favorite part or one of your favorite parts of what you do?
Oh man, I think my favorite part is really like the people that I get to connect with, like you, or just people anywhere that I didn't know existed and that share my same like spark in life, or that same like little piece inside of me that's a little bit different. I think that's my favorite piece, is like getting to draw that out of people who don't know they have it, and getting to say like, you have a dream inside of you. Let me pull it out. It's important. Show us what it is. Do it, accomplish the thing. And then meeting people who are kind of doing the same thing and being able to say like, yes, like yes. I'm not alone. Like
exactly.
There's more than one of me. And thank goodness.
I adore that. I adore that so much. What is we haven't talked about it much or at all, but that's why I'm like giving us that segue because it's super important. What is one thing that you do every day for self-care and self-love?
Yes, this one's easy. One thing I do every single day to care for myself is, well, I guess you can split it into two. One, I ask myself that question. Every single day I ask myself, what am I doing that is for me today? And if I don't have an answer, it needs to be on purpose. I don't have an answer and it's purposeful. which should be rare, or B, oh my gosh, I need to figure something out. But most days, like tangibly, it is journaling. I'm a creative soul. I do hand lettering. So I love to choose a word. And over on my page and stuff, we do a word of the week, and we all like hand letter the same word together, and then we journal on a prompt together. I spend a lot of time journaling. It's for all my ideas ooze out. And yeah, so spending time being grateful by journaling, just get it all out on paper.
Well, that's beautiful as well, because it is creative. And I love how every time I ask something like this, it's like I get different answers, obviously. And that's the beauty behind it. I understand you with definitely, I'm very creative and I love writing. So a lot of it is gratitude through that. And you also reminded me right now, actually, because I didn't have this in mind, you do a lot of little mini, and you're starting to do it more and more. I love it. Little giveaways and little, you do so much within your Instagram. And I love everything that you put out there, because once again, much like we've been listening to you for almost an hour, everything's with intention. So I think on Valentine's Day we wrote like a letter to self-love, and I know I posted so my followers saw that as well. Our audience here, I always believe, and I tagged you and whatnot, and I got a lot of props to what I wrote to myself in that letter, but also like thank you, but also like it's a way of a little bit of a shout out towards what you do. So tell us a little bit what you did. I know it was already Valentine's Day and it already passed, but like I know you do so many of them. What was that one in particular?
So it was an idea that came to me so suddenly, and I was like, ooh, this is the one. This is important. This encapsulates everything. And I just had this idea of like, what if every single woman who like I connect with, what if every single woman wrote herself a love letter for Valentine's Day instead of feeling this way or that way about the holiday? Whether or not you have a Valentine, I really don't care. What if you were your own Valentine? What if you decided to care for yourself enough to write yourself a love letter? And so I always like to think of myself as a guide, as like someone who's guiding people. And so I was like, all right, I have to start. And so I sat down and I filmed it and I wrote a love letter to myself. And I'm a very introspective person. And so it wasn't like this huge revelation for me, but it was just kind of this moment where I got to wrap up my story and forgive myself for the things that I've done in the past that I didn't love, and for experiences that were bad or traumatic. And I got to say like, hey girl, we're here now and you were there. And all of that is a part of the story. Like your body has been through things, your soul has been through things, your spirit has been through things, but like we're all here together and we're moving forward. And like, thank you for that. So I encourage people to do that. And then and I'm still doing it. I'm offering people a digitally lettered version of that letter. And I got to do so many of those. And oh my gosh, it was so cool. I like got to see people's love letters to themselves, or like some people wrote a letter to their mom or wrote a letter to their husband. And that is so beautiful too. And like, just like getting to connect with people, it takes a level of vulnerability to write something to yourself and then to like post it in an email
post it, exactly.
And send it. Yeah, post it online. Like that is huge. But it connects us. And that was really my heart behind it, was like, how can I become more vulnerable so that people can see that we're not so different and that we're all like marching through the same world that can be really hard on us. And yeah, so that was really the heart behind it. And it ended up being so good. Like so many people wrote letters. Yeah, it lit my heart up.
It really did. Like it lit my heart up, girl. Like I'm here, like my eyes are watery, and it's so beautiful, because much like you said, I also, once again, I align with you where you're saying, as in like I'm very introspective. Like I know my thoughts. I sit down with myself every day because I've worked like, so much to be where I am. Much like you said, I've forgiven myself and I've grown so much, and to let go of all that. You said it in such a beautiful way. So what I wrote down for myself wasn't surprising. However, I love the power behind that, because I perfectly know, and you do as well, not all of us are creative human beings, a lot of people are from science and maths, and they're very, 1+1=2, whereas for us, it's a million things. So when those people and just everybody had the power to be like, okay, let me talk about it, And then on top of that, send it to you, because you didn't we can't see those letters, of course, because they're not for the public space, but the person had to send it to you.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, and that's the word it matters. Like, oh, I'm like being raw and vulnerable, and it's so beautiful. It's so beautiful. It really is.
Yeah. And that really is part of my heart too, was like the journaling and the hand lettering, they kind of go hand in hand, but they kind of butt heads, where those people who aren't naturally creative and the thought of doing something like hand lettering something overwhelms them. It's like, that's great. Take this journaling prompt. Like, you can write words. So write these words out. Write this beautiful letter out to yourself, and then send it to me, and I'll make it into a piece of art for you. Or just spend the time and do that, because that is showing yourself that you love yourself, and that is huge. So that's really that's like this funny piece of my business, where it almost like it causes friction. It's like these creative people who it comes really naturally to, and then there's these people who want to feel creative, and it's like, cool, be creative by stepping out of your comfort zone and journaling and writing a letter and doing something that's a little bit more introspective, or that calls for some self-care that you're not used to. And those people get to also participate without, having to feel like they have to have this beautiful skill.
Exactly. And that's the beauty of it. Once again, without a doubt, they not only they feel seen, but everybody feels seen, no matter what is your background. And that's I love that message so much. I definitely want to let our audience know, once again, even though once again it was a few months ago because it was Valentine's Day and whatnot, this is stuff that you're constantly doing.
Yeah.
So what are your next projects? Do you have anything coming up soon?
Yes, I do. I'm so excited. I have a few things, of course. So for in-person people, like people who are local to Oregon, I have these workshops that I'm building out, and those are going to be super fun. But in this space that we're kind of talking about, this journaling space, this hand lettering space, I am building out like a challenge of sorts. I love challenges. I love making people do stuff and become better, and it's no risk to them. I love that kind of thing. So I'm building out like I don't know how I'm going to do it yet. I might do like a journal, or I might do like a little five-day freebie of like, let's say like a month. So like a month of journaling prompts and hand lettering stencils. So like I make these little patterns where you just trace over them, and you don't have to have any skill at all. But at the end, you've spent a little bit of time and you have a beautiful hand lettered word, because I love words, once again. But then on the other side, you have a beautiful journaling prompt, and you can spend a little bit of time journaling. It's really helpful for people to have that guided piece of journaling. So that's my next thing. I'm really excited about it. I'm hoping to get a lot of people on board to just like spend time journaling. I love journaling.
As she shouts on top of like the rooftop, basically.
Yeah. I'm so nerdy about it. Like, I just love, I don't know. I love it.
It's just, I love it right there with you, though. I do it every single day. Like what my thing in the morning, I mean, I tell people to do it whenever they feel like it, of course, throughout the day, but I do it like right when I wake up, and it's right. 5 things that I'm grateful for from usually the day before, because like first thing in the morning, and just 10 ideas, thoughts, like kind of manifest where I want to be, but like I write it like if I was there already. Yeah. And if I already have these certain things and whatnot. And then through that's kind of like one of the main focuses of the day. Sometimes I add a word of the day, because I'm much like you. I love my words and whatnot. Yeah. And it's just something that I always share with people, because journaling is so fundamental. I love that challenge. I adore challenges as well. We have a bunch of different sections also in the Always Believer that currently are less talked about, but if you go to our webpage, thealwaysbeliever.com, you can always find them and whatnot, because it's those kind of, what you said, prompts and challenges. So I'm so excited to see your little journal come to life, and like be able to like buy it and be like, oh my God.
Yes, I know. That's the big dream, is to have this beautiful journal that's like super creative on one side.
That's
and
the first of your dreams. That's one of the first of your dreams is going to come true. You're going to start with a journal, and knowing you're going to build up from that.
It'll be huge.
Let it come, and it'll be here. Like, I promise you that, girl. I just feel it. Definitely.
I love
Oh
that.
my gosh. All right, so we're gonna wrap things up because that's life right now.
Yeah,
Like it goes by so fast.
I
And
know.
it's such a
It does.
pleasure talking to you. Just like a
Yes,
nice, breath of fresh air, like I said. Really.
you're the kindest. Thank you so much for having me on.
Thank you so much for just giving us all your love and not even some of it, all your love and all your energy
All of it.
and all the tips about journaling, and just go home and journal.
Journal about anything at all.
So my darling, what are 3 adjectives to describe you?
3 adjectives. I would say thoughtful. I'm highly thoughtful. Encourager. I would call myself an encourager, and bold. Very bold. That's probably my 3.
I love that. I love how you like bold, very bold.
Very bold.
I do agree though that we do take leaps.
Yes.
What are you thankful for?
I am so thankful just for my husband, for my parents, like for all the people that show up in my life that tell me like, do the crazy thing, do the scary thing. It's going to be okay. Like I am eternally grateful for those people in my life. And I'm even more grateful that it's those people that have been closest to me that I get to continually like lean on and say, I want to do this crazy thing. And they say, go for it, do it. If anyone can do it, it's you. And then like the next step beyond that is people who like come into my life, people like you, people who like my business coach who come in and they say, I haven't even known you that long, and I also think you can do it. Like, I think that's so huge, and I'm so thankful for that. And that's what I want to be for people.
Oh, you are, honey. You are. You totally are.
Thanks.
I can vouch that. I can tell the whole team flyer. That's what you are. Because it's just everything that you upload, everything you create, it's absolutely pure magic because it's your passion and you can tell and you're always there and you always have like, you're like, if you never need to talk to somebody, I'm always here. And then you actually do follow up on that. That's amazing.
Yeah.
And that's what I was saying before. Seriously, that's where you're just going to start with a journal, mark my words, and it's going to go far and beyond your wildest dreams because
I hope so.
I agree with everybody else in your life. If anyone can do it, Jaclyn can do it.
Yes.
Where can we see you, my darling?
Yes, the best place to hang out with me, like you said, is on Instagram. That's at Jaclyn Beck, etc. So JACLYNBECKETC is that handle, and it's the same handle on TikTok. I have a Facebook group that you can find, but you can find all that stuff on my Instagram. So hang out with me on Instagram.
Exactly. I link everything there, so do not worry.
Yeah.
Definitely find her through anywhere of or also our Instagram and whatnot. But yeah, we'll definitely link everything on your thing. So thank you once again. As far as for the rest of us over here at Team Flyer, this has been another wonderful Wednesday with just a beautiful guest that really, really sparks my life. And yeah, anyways, I love meeting people like you. And I just gush. Like these are the moments I'm just like, I'm just here gushing in the corner. Oh yeah, I have to finish this episode. Okay, that's right. That's what I'm doing. I have to stop gushing right now.
Right back at you.
That's currently me right now. New episodes every single Wednesday, as always, both in Spanish and in English. And we still have the course. You can still hop in, and you can hop in at any single time, of course. Just DM me because I'm like Jaclyn, always hang out on Instagram. Subscribe to our podcast, subscribe to our newsletter. I mean, it's free. It's just a button. Subscribe to Jaclyn. It's also free. Just go like and set the love, and just spread the love as much as you can. We're always here, happy to talk to you. We're very much aligned. So if you love me as much as you love me, and you love our community as much as you love your community, you'll definitely love Jaclyn. And definitely. All right. So thank you very much once more, Jaclyn.
Yes, thank you for having me on.
Have a beautiful, beautiful day.
You too, girl.
Bye.
Bye.